Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Trading Lifestyle Podcast. And I'm very happy to have with me today Chris Laurie. He is one of the first people that I started learning Forex from, and I think he has the absolute best educational material on learning price action. So, very happy to have him. Thanks for coming on, Chris.
Pleasure. Thanks a lot for having me, Hugh. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. So, I guess I'll just get into the questions. Um, so, can you tell me a little bit about what you were doing before you became a Forex trader?
Yeah, my kind of path into FX, I would say, started when I was fairly young. We'd sit around the dinner table with my seven brothers and sisters, and my dad would constantly give us sort of lectures or lessons on the financial markets because he was obviously quite into it at the time and then still is.
Hmm.
But he taught us how to be financially prudent when we were quite young, and we had to work hard and we had to make our own money, and he guided us on how to invest it and whatnot.
Hmm.
So I took a keen interest in being financially responsible at a young age and wondering what the alternatives were for when you get older, and and I started to take an interest in the financial markets specifically while I was in university, actually just before university actually, and then but I was of course distracted by my bobsledding career.
Hmm.
Prior to bobsledding, I was on Canada's national team in decathlon, and then I was recruited out of there into bobsledding, and so that got started. So it put basically my post university career on hold for a while, and kind of achieved my first goal of being in the 1988 Olympic Games, and then after that, I figured we could probably become world Olympic champions. And so I kind of remained focused on the sport. But in the meantime, I continued to study the financial markets, and I took the Canadian Securities course. It's a pretty tough course in order to move into the financial industry once I retired from sport. And so my bobsledding career ended up lasting a lot longer than I had anticipated, and went until I was 34, 35 years old after four Olympic Games. And when I retired from sport, I was ready to move into the financial business, and uh, and so then I began to place a focus on FX trading, and that was like in 98, 99. And I passively, well, I took a keen interest in studying the FX market from about that time, but I had to make some money after retiring from sports, so I did some contract work in sport in order to build some capital to trade with, and then I started. Of course, I traded a little bit of the tech bubble, and I
Hmm.
made some money, lost some money, and then I started to focus on FX from there. So that was about 2000, and then between 2000 and 2002, I studied quite intensely. In 2002, I was introduced to a mentor of mine, and that's when things really kicked into place for me. So it was kind of a long time in the planning, and then started to focus around 2000, and really enjoyed the asset class of FX simply because I believe it's the least risky asset class, which is a whole other subject we could talk about if you wanted to, but and of course the most interesting and the most liquid.
Hmm. Oh, I see. That's interesting. I didn't know you were in the decathlon too.
Yeah, yeah, it's a tough sport. I mean, they were looking for speed and power for bobsledding, and they recruited those of us on the national team in decathlon into bobsleigh.
I see. Now, do you think that that whole competitive spirit really prepared you well to become a trader?
There's absolutely no question about it that, and this, of course, and I can relate it to trading in that when you develop as an athlete, you're always pursuing and testing your physical and mental capacity to the highest degree in order to succeed. And so what happens is you engage in a process, and the more you actively engage, and the more you go out and you engage in new experiences, um, you set new goals, short, medium, and long-term goals. You will accumulate knowledge from these experiences, And in sport, you're put under a very large number of trying circumstances where you need to understand yourself, how you're likely to respond to various situations, and in order to continue to develop. And so I went through that process as an athlete, and when I began to start my trading career and started to discover this, that really I'd already been through everything that trading requires of you from understanding process thinking standpoint, and I simply had to convert it. So I had to understand the market at a very, very deep level, and I had to have the awareness to adapt everything that I learned in sport and convert it into the knowledge that I was acquiring in trading, and the systems thinking I was building in trading. And really, it's just a question of converting that the mental capacity into trading. And so there's no question about it. That's why when I say I say to traders that because for me it was sport, but for other traders or other aspiring traders, you have likely gone through experiences in your life where you've aimed to achieve something, and you need to reflect back and understand the process that you went through and convert that into trading. And there's no way around it. You need to expand your knowledge of the market, and we can talk about that in some of the future questions here.
Okay, very cool, very cool. Yeah. So I guess one of the bigger questions that a lot of people want to know is, can you tell us a little bit about how you trade, your trading strategy?
Well, my trading, the way my trading model evolved was, and I think like anybody in trading is, when you discover or when you start to explore FX trading, it's very, very common to want to you want to understand what tools are available. So first of all, there's many ways that to skin the cat. In fact, every single trader in the marketplace has a different approach. They see the market through a different set of eyes. They have a different set of experiences that they're drawing their trading decisions from. And as they try to engage to acquire knowledge, they'll go to indicators, price action, maybe the fundamentals, maybe algorithms, EAs, things like that. And so as you engage in these experiences, what I really recommend, first of all, is do not try to copy exactly what somebody else is doing, because that's not going to work. So if somebody shows you an indicator system or whatnot, or a system of any kind, and says, this is my system, you should trade it, these are the rules, it's not going to work for you, because you need to develop a full and thorough and complete understanding of the market, and the tools that you use, you need to understand them in depth. And so my model is a price. So my model is kind of spread out. So my intraday trading model is price action based. It is 80-90% based on the price action and the volatility occurring on an intraday basis. My charts are clean. I don't have indicators on my charts. I simply am watching the price behaviors throughout the day. Now, for long-term position tradings and working with clients, we often have to engage in long-term, speculative positions. And so those are typically more fundamentally rooted. So I'll use a combination of, so on the one end of the continuum, so for intraday trading, 80-90% of the decisions are based on the price action and price behaviors that we see repeated, over time. Yet there's still a fundamental foundation, a fundamental knowledge, a sense for what the information flow and what effect that is having on the market. That's also going to guide your trading decisions to some degree, because price is either reacting or not reacting to that information flow. On the other end of the continuum, for the longer term positions, which are more rooted on fundamental foundation, a view of the fundamentals of that specific country, there is also a price action component to it, because we obviously are going to look at the charts and try to identify what the charts are telling us versus what the fundamentals are telling us, whether it's consistent or whether it's not. And so therefore, my model is it's spread along that continuum. But I think for those listening to this podcast, my intraday model is price action based.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, you have a ton of videos in your members area on your website, and it pretty much goes through your whole strategy. And I was really blown away by it because the first time I saw you, like I've studied support and resistance before that, but when I saw your stuff, I was like, wow, that's that's a totally different way to look at it, and it made sense to me. I don't know, I just couldn't explain it.
Yeah, the what we do is we have the price action, and the price action. When we talk about price patterns, we're not talking about your standard head and shoulder, Gartley, 3 drives, these type of patterns. It's more, that's why I refer to them as price behaviors. And so the behaviors can be broken down into what type of behavior we expect at very, very specific times of day. And the price behavior is in relation to the order flow moving through the interbank market. And as you refer to, the support resistance are more or less kind of our standard reference levels. And then within that support resistance, we're looking for fractals, which I know that term is used a lot in FX and in trading. But the kind of the simple definition of a fractal is really repeated patterns of self-similarity reduced at every scale, which is effectively what we see in chart patterns. So we break down these fractals and we look for these repeated behaviors and trade these behaviors. And the thing is that when we share this information, and as you mentioned, I've got this course, which is a kind of what I'd say a beginner to intermediate course, and then we have the Pro Traders Club, and we've got literally countless archives of teachings, and in those teachings, it's all price action, price behavior, fractals, and price broken down. And when those who have succeeded, and those of our members who have succeeded, and there's quite a large number of them, it's interesting because once you see it and once you see the breakdown of price, we share with one another. We're like, this is amazing how we just keep seeing this pattern, and it's because it's like you have something that you have a common knowledge that you're sharing with one another. You're like, man, look how cool this is. Look how amazingly price is behaving in this way, which we anticipate. And so to me, the reason why my trading is rooted in price action is because price action is the closest you will get to seeing the psychology of the market. And so we're effectively trading the psychology of the market through the behaviors that are repeated day in and day out.
Oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, definitely. So when did you start teaching students?
I was probably 6 or 7 years into trading, right around 2006. What happened was a group had asked me if I would do a workshop for their members. They had quite a large membership base, and I said, yeah, sure, I'll do a workshop for you. And so because I figured they were just going to give me the materials, I was going to kind of present the materials. They said, well, no, we want you to present your own materials. So because I was just trying, I wanted to be consistent with what it was that they were teaching, and then of course put in a lot of my own unique stuff. But they said, no, create your own course. So I said, okay, give me a couple months and I'll put something together. So I put a little course together, and I said, I'll give it a try, and so I really, really enjoyed it because I have some public speaking experience because of my kind of status in sport in Canada. So I was asked to do a lot of speaking, and so I enjoyed the speaking. And then when teaching FX, it took a little bit of getting used to, but I became very comfortable with it. I really enjoy it. And so, and what I also found was that every time I would teach, it was an exercise, and it was like pressing the refresh button. It was an exercise in revisiting a lot of aspects of trading that were very refreshing and very helpful to my, to my current state of mind. And so, my course now has completely changed. since then, but it's some 5, 6 years later, 7 years later. But nonetheless, it's I really really enjoy it.
Ah, very cool, very cool. Yeah, you mentioned that you have quite a few successful students. Do you notice any characteristics that are common between those people?
Absolutely. Um, and this is extremely important, folks. The one common characteristic among all successful traders is that although you as individuals you will go out and you'll explore and you'll learn and you'll go to forums and you'll learn a lot of aspects of the market, but at some point, and quite often as you're developing as a trader, you are going to very very much depend on others to share information with you. That's a part of the natural process. But at some point in time, you are going to have gone through the process of acquiring such an in-depth knowledge of the market, and more specifically, exactly the set of parameters that you want to use to trade, also called your trading model and your risk model. And you're going to have to become an independent thinker based on the information you've acquired. So you'll have a level of confidence in the information that you've acquired, a level of confidence in your psychological state, and your manner in which you can be process thinking, and ultimately making your own decisions. Once you start making your own decisions based on a concrete set of parameters, you will succeed in trading. And every one of the individuals that I have mentored, see, because I don't, in my training and in my mentorship, I don't say, these are the parameters, these are the rules, go out and copy it. That's not how to learn trading. You will not succeed trading that way, okay? So every one of the successful students has built a foundation of knowledge through our process and through our program, but every one of them has gone out to become an independent thinker, and they use their own set of parameters. The classic example, probably the most proficient and successful trader that I know, is a woman. Her name's Maria, and she will use her. She has 4 favorite trades. The A, the B, the C, or the D. And I won't get into the details, but those 4 types of trades she has taken from my trading model. However, the manner in which she trades them is uniquely her own, and the decision-making parameters that she has created are completely uniquely her own. So, but it's based on what she had learned from us, but she went on her own to become an independent. She's just phenomenal trader. And everything is just, she's been through the process so many times. You want to be at a stage in your trading for discretionary traders where once the trading decision becomes a natural process, and how you react to price following the decision to enter is a natural process. How you manage your risk is a natural process, and so on. And that repeats itself through every trading exercise.
I see. So that kind of gives the question that came up in my mind was, do you recommend like backtesting on historical data, or just strictly forward testing and trying to figure out from this point forward?
Yeah, it's a very delicate combination of the two. So what you want to do is what I have our people do is we have a set of let's say 10 parameters or 10 price behaviors for individuals to study. So of these 10 price behaviors, what we do is we have them engage in exercises. So you can combine 2 or 3 of the price behaviors and engage in an exercise. And what an exercise would do is you take one of these parameters or 2 or 3 of these parameters and combine them. And let's say you use, Forex tester software. And because you can get the live, kind of simulated live data, and you can speed it up at your discretion. So you can go through Forex tester software, and you can go through and you can simply use a set of parameters and go through exercises at a highly intensive level. So what you're doing is you're constantly engaging in the market at a high level of intensity. You're watching these sets of parameters. Some will be low probability, some will be higher probability. And as you build sample sizes, let's say you do a sample size, you can do large sample sizes through the software, or even in live time through a trading session. So you build sample sizes of, let's say, 50 or 100 or 200 or 300, where you've actually engaged in an experience based on a specific set of parameters. So let's just say, for example, trading a day's high or low, like yesterday's high or low, or the day's Asian range, or just a standard support resistance level on, let's say, a 5 or 15-minute chart, a consolidation or a fractal. Mm-hmm. So every time price hits this level, you make a trade, demo of course. You make a trade, and then you set a stop at a certain level, a limit at a certain level, and then you manage the trade accordingly. Move the stop to break even after you identify X, Y, and Z, and so that your whole view of the market and your whole approach becomes process oriented. Now, you're doing the exercises at a high level of intensity, but when it actually comes down to making trading decisions on a live account, because you've worked through a sample size of 300, 500, or 1,000, it's going to be the process is going to become so automatic to you, and you're typically only going to pick the high probability scenarios. Because you've built such a large sample size, you're going to know what's low probability and you're going to know what's high probability based on the information that you've acquired, through these exercises. Mm-hmm. And so when it comes to live trading, you're going to pick only the high probability ones. You're going to be process oriented. You're going to know exactly where to set your stop, when to move it to break even, when to take your first limit order, how much to keep in the trade, things like that. So I encourage our students to engage in exercises based on a specific set of parameters, and what that does is that internalizes your understanding of the market. It becomes a part of you. You have such an in-depth understanding of the market that when you're trading, your decision-making process becomes automatic. Mm-hmm. You automatically know when to enter, when not to enter, what price action is suitable, and what price action is you want to stay away from. And so that the market becomes a part of you, and that's really what we're aiming to achieve. And then you'll become an independent thinker and full-time trader at that point. Mm-hmm. There's no shortcuts.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I found that very very helpful, the Forex tester and the backtesting. But I guess at some point you have to determine, okay, do I put in some money and actually try to do it for real? And how do you recommend getting started in that point? Is there a certain amount of money that people should get started with, or is it up to the individual pretty much?
It's very individual. But what I recommend, obviously, is when you start to trade live. Mm-hmm. If you start to trade live, as a result of your exercises and your experimenting and your testing, you will have established a specific protocol and focus on one currency pair and one type of trade that you really like. Mm-hmm. And then in the meantime, you're still observing all of the price behaviors that you've been studying, and you're studying other currency pairs, but start with one currency pair, one trade, and then go to one currency pair, two different types of trades, one currency pair, three trades. In the meantime, if one trade is becoming quite successful, then you'll say, okay, maybe we can add this trade to a second currency pair. So now you've got two currency pairs. You make one type of trade because you've got a high level of confidence in it, one type of trade on two currency pairs, and then you slowly build out from there. Mm-hmm. And I've got, for example, with Aussie Yen and with pound dollar, I have my favorite trades, and I stick to those trades. Other times, based on my combined knowledge, there'll be certain trades that are a bit tough to identify in terms of being able to explain why I'm taking the trade. It'd be tough to explain but because of my understanding of the market, you have a really, really good sense of what price is doing. So, but nonetheless, try to be focused. Okay, if you're running around trading on a lot of different currency pairs, and a few trades here, a few trades there, that's just too random, and you're not gonna succeed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, definitely. Maybe we can shift gears a little bit here, and I was what really interested me about you was the fact that you manage a lot of funds. How did you kind of get into that?
the mentor that really got me into price action. I kind of had 1 foot in the door of price action, or actually, a foot and a half in the door price action when I started trading live.
Hmm.
And so I had a few trades that I really liked, and I stuck with them. Then when I hooked up with my mentor, who we were brought together by an analyst, co-friend of ours, and he said, you guys are very similar in your approach, and you guys should get together. So we got together, we started chatting, and our chat was very much about price action, and so what happened was we started at about the same time, but he accelerated. Just a very bright, very insightful guy.
Hmm.
And he started to explore things about price action that I thought were very, very interesting. And so we would start together. We would do a lot of back testing and a lot of studying until my eyes were bleeding. And so when working with him, we started to manage funds together, just a little bit of some small funds, and from there things went well, and then he ended up having to have a couple eye surgeries because of the strain on his eyes. But
Oh man.
we ended up kind of doing fine there, and then moved on. I just retained a couple of clients and started trading for them, and then I got some exposure to the Singapore market and started to take on some different type of trading, more fundamentally grounded trading, and that's when I got into the Aussie Yen.
Hmm.
And started to focus on that currency pair, because what happens is when you work with a client, you actually are engaging in a whole new process, and you have to adapt to whatever requests they're making of you. And of course, spot trading is one thing, but when when we started doing this Aussie Yen trading, it was very, very interesting. And then I basically gravitated toward it, and it became my primary and most my most liked and most consistent currency pair to trade.
Hmm.
But so the managed funds kind of evolved, and then you get a few clients that have confidence in you, and it just kind of goes from there.
Hmm. I see. I see. So if there's people out there who maybe have a good track record and want to get into managing funds, how would you recommend they get started?
Yeah, what's going to happen is anybody who wants you to manage their funds are going to want to see a track record, and it's a couple years out is good. 2 years track record should get you some initial funds,
Hmm.
and I don't really recommend trading for family and friends. It's usually not a good idea.
Hmm.
It's just not. I mean, anytime managing money for family and friends can be, it can be certain situations can arise. It can be a challenge for you.
Hmm.
Usually, best to have a third, have a third party set out with an agreement. And what I recommend is that you start out with just a good little pocket and get some consistency, and then through the banks and whatnot, word will get out about your trading, and then some interest will start coming your way, and usually comes through performance.
Hmm.
And just to let you know, some of the companies that will introduce funds, there are a number of them out there. They like to see the day-to-day volatility in the account, so they want to know what the net asset value is at the end of the day after you've closed your trades. So they're going to look at the volatility on your trading. So if you're up 11% one day and down 8% the next, they don't want that. That's too much volatility, because as soon as you take 5 losses in a row, you're going to be down 30-40%.
Hmm.
So people don't want that. They want good steady risk with low volatility. And your risk model's got to be very tight. You have to present a very good, tight risk model in terms of your processes as well.
Hmm. Oh, I see. I see. Very cool. Um, Maybe you could talk a little bit about. I know you mentioned it before, but you could maybe talk about your websites and what you do on those websites and the domains and everything.
Yeah, you bet. It's been a real pleasure having my own website. it's really been a pleasure just to be able to share information. And so we effectively have two websites, and I've got a partner. His name's Joe, and he's really in charge. He's the boss. Because without Joe, there's no Chris, public figure Chris Laurie. But we have chrislaurie.com, and chrislaurie.com is a free website, and in that website there's free information, there's videos, and I strongly recommend the video series. I think it's called Essential Qualities of an FX Trader, of a Successful FX Trader. So go through those videos to understand what you need to do to succeed in trading. So because that'll explain everything. And so in that website, we've got free videos for you to learn from, and we try to update it and add new videos. If we do a webinar, we post it in there. There's a very good webinar in there right now on price inefficiencies. It's a price action based webinar. Go in there and check that out. And so that's a free website. And so what we do is we don't sell things to people. Like we're not pushy sales. It's basically, if you come to our website, if you think that there's something there that you might be interested in, if you want to buy a product, then you go over to protradersclub.com, and that's where our products are listed. There's nothing salesy on them. It just gives you the kind of the facts and information on the various products and services we have available. And if it appeals to you, great. If not, no worries. You can keep coming to our free website. So, but if you join the Pro Traders Club, it's recommended that you take the course first, and the course is very, very, very inexpensive. It's only $400 for the online course, which runs some 35 hours. The Pro Traders Club is the higher level concepts, and that's where the higher level concepts are shared. And there's countless video archives in the Pro Traders Club, and you can review all the teaching videos in there. There's got to be, there's hundreds of them. So you can go there as well. We have workshops from time to time. We have workshops where we methodically go through the higher level concepts, which are not shared, in multimedia in any courses. More in the Pro Traders Club they are, but they're not organized like they are in the workshops. So, in fact, check our website for the latest workshop that we'll be having. We have one coming up in May, but this recording will probably be online for a while. So just check our website at chrislaurie.com for the latest workshops. But I'd also say that almost everyone that has succeeded has also been to one workshop, at least one workshop. So, but we only have one a year in the States, so hopefully you can get to it.
Yeah, I definitely want to make it out there. But yeah, I really like that the Pro Traders Club. The Pro Traders course that really helped me out a lot. And you came out with a Euro Yen, Aussie Yen course too, right? Recently.
Yeah, what we did with the Aussie Yen course was that was originally developed for another party, and that party ended up kind of fell through. So I had the CDs from it. So the Aussie Yen course, it has a CD component to it or a DVD component to it, but we also have an online component to it as well. So you'll get actual DVDs, and then you'll also get additional information on the course that's available online. And then we also have a section where I continually add videos to this section. And so the Aussie Yen course isn't just a course that stops. It's a course where I'm continually adding new videos to show insights and information of current market action and some of the things we're thinking of doing, or new aspects of price action that arise that I want to share with with the members. So it is my favorite currency to trade, and in my view, you can trade that pair and that pair only, even when it's sideways. You can trade that pair only. So, and it's not as volatile as the other pair. You have carry in your favor, the time being, and so and we explain all that in the course.
Very cool. Yeah, that's pretty much the only course I've seen that specializes in that one pair. So I definitely want to check that out in the future.
You bet. We'll get one to you.
Okay, well, I guess I'm pretty much out of questions. Is there any are there any last words that you want to say to people who want to get started in Forex, or or maybe got started but are a little stuck?
Yeah, I think that what happened is people send me questions a lot about how to get out of being stuck or how to proceed to succeed in the business,
Hmm.
and that's what inspired my series of videos at chrislaurie.com in the free members area. Sign up as a member. If you go through those videos, it's probably 3 hours long or so, and maybe even more. If you go through those videos, it should answer 90% of your questions on how to succeed in trading. If you have any other questions, from time to time, I'm free to take phone calls, and you can phone me. But go through those videos, and that should help you to understand the process in which you should engage to succeed in trading.
Hmm. Ah, very cool. Okay, well, I really appreciate you taking all the time, Chris. It's great to talk to you for the first time, actually, right?
Yeah, you and I have been in touch for a long time now, and finally get to talk. So stay in touch, you for sure.
Yeah,
Good to
definitely.
hear from you. It's been a real pleasure. Anytime.
All right, thanks. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Trading Lifestyle Podcast. If you want to find more interviews, tutorials, and random trading videos, check out tradingheroes.com or follow Trading Heroes on Facebook, Twitter, or Google+.